out and pop into YouTube here. I got my comment section open, so feel free to say good morning and also mention anything that you have out there. We got some awesome price action coming out of Cardano. We got the Ethereum market bouncing nicely off of support, so that was absolutely awesome. So we're going to talk about Cardano, its recent price action, what I see for it coming up for it in the relatively near future, and where we go from there. So we have, oh man, it's just an incredible day today. What can I say? Watched a little bit of the AI day stuff from Tesla as well. So that was pretty cool, and we'll see that. And right now, is it translating to price action? I think that maybe a little bit can be explained there. We might see a little pump right at the market open, and then a little bit of profit taking, and then a fairly normal day for Tesla thereafter. At least that's my call right off the open. We'll see what happens. So let me share out my screen. I got Webull open. I got CoinMarketCap open. Tip ranks. Watch the burn. And then also a little bit out of the Hang Seng as well. So let me hit share screen. There we go. Perfect. I always got to talk myself through the steps. So let me see. Let's go to our friend Cardano. Pop that up there on. There we are. Ooh, I have it on the monthly chart. There we go. Let's go back out from there. So here on the monthly chart, you can see we are pumping. We peaked out at $2. I got the Bollinger Bands up there. Let's put our moving averages back up instead. There we go. So we have, oh man, nice. I even have this flag formation that I drew. If you'll go back and watch one of my live streams from earlier in the week, you'll see this bullish flag formation that I put up. And I said that should we see a candle breaking up above this line, that we get a breakout. And I said that could happen over the next few days, and it happened. I said they could go in either direction. So if we drop significantly below this line, the flag formation could fail, and then it would fall off there. But we have some awesome volume-supported price action for Cardano, breaking up over the 250 mark, which actually puts in a new high for it. We're not going to see it there. Let's go to CoinMarketCap, and we can see more of the price action. By the way, this is huge. Check this out. Bitcoin #1 by market cap, Ethereum #2 by market cap, Cardano now #3, passing Binance Coin, BNB being the Ether token symbol that we have for that, and the Cardano's ADA has replaced it as #3 by market cap. As well, now we're up over $80 billion by market cap. We still have we're just under 5 times the market cap of what we have for Ethereum. So between 4 and 5 times the market cap from Cardano to Ethereum. And I mentioned before that I think that this is a nice competitor that has its own little space. I don't think it's going to overtake Ethereum. However, I think it's on a strong run, and I don't think that that run is going to give up so easily. So let's go in and look at the chart for Cardano. There we go. So that'll pop up there. By the way, we got to pop back over to YouTube on that screen. Good morning, Orlando. Great to have you. All right, so this is popping up. We'll see a lot of the price action using the line graph that we have here. And you can see over the history of Cardano what the price action has done. And the previous high was back here. And if we go in more, we'll see when that was. And then we will do that in just a moment here. And then we'll also switch to the candlestick so we can see more about what's going on. So let's go over to the trading view. So Cardano, I think, is going to continue the strong price action because I think Ethereum and Bitcoin are going to continue their strong price action. And the inclusion of the smart contracts that we have for Cardano coming up in September is also something that's be one of the drivers that we have in the meantime. So one of the things that gets talked about for Cardano, so I was talking about the bullish flag formation that we have here, which is also part of a bigger pattern that we see from the previous high, this dip, and also the low volume that we have down here when it trailed off to about $1 per token. And then finally we get, as this momentum picked up, we have volume supported price action taking place. So this part that I call the bullish flag could also be seen as the ending of the cup. And then right here would be the handle. And what we want to know for confirmation for that cup and handle is that we actually see some of that trailed off volume, trading volume. And then finally for that breakout period that we start to see that volume supported spike happening. And so that's what we see taking place. So there could easily be at least another day's rally in this before we take a rest. So this is a really cool break that we have up above previous resistance. Now we can start seeing support. So this previous high that we had for Cardano was back here at $2.47, and now today we have $2.55 according to what CoinMarketCap has for us, and so that's just incredible. Let's look intraday to see this shaping up. So this is the 30-minute chart that we're looking at, and look at that narrowing that we have. So, and as a matter of fact, this is slightly skewed to the upside. So it's possible that even within today that we start putting in a break to the upside yet. You know, and that could happen. That could happen in the next few hours. I'm not saying that we will. We do see this nice volume trail off here as there's a lot of indecision coming in for what's going to happen next, because we are hugely run up for Cardano over the past few days. And so making another run at that, you know, it's a question of when the bulls tire on us. We see excellent volume supported price action, and then some more right here, and almost the same as what we had before. So I wouldn't say that this was understated, and we could get a little bit more of a pump up above this most recent resistance that we're getting right around that low 250 mark for Cardano. And I'm not as well with my drawing tools on here, but I think that we can manage this one. So right here, we see that little bit of a squeeze from the bears trying to push that price down. I'm going to extend it out a little bit so we can see a little bit more of a pinch. And then we'll go back to this one, and then to this bottom that we have here. There we go. So with those lines drawn on there, you can see where they cross each other. And if regardless of which one we break, should we break significantly above the top line, then we get a bullish breakout from there, and we can put in a new high. If we drop below that bottom line, of course, that would be a bearish breakout, and it would just mean that our price would rest a little bit. But if I remind you of what we saw in the daily chart, coming back a little from this most recent run is perfectly natural and perfectly understood. What we would like to see, if we do go on and put in a new high by tomorrow, if that we get a full body of a candle above the previous high and the resistance that we are currently sitting with this newest candle, then we have fully confirmed support, in which case we might tend to stay above those levels. So Justin says it's going to dump it, and I've mentioned this, Justin. It's highly possible that it's going to. I think that you know, if it does dump, look at this run up that we saw. This is only back on August the 10th that we started making our run up above this this previous resistance that we saw right around the $1.50 level. So making that sort of run in that breakout, and I've talked about this before about symmetry with the flagpole that we have the same height here for the breakout that happens here. So we've completed that flag formation coming off of that, and so we could make that next run, but the bulls do tire eventually. So if we get one more day of breakout, I think that there would be a rest following. So that rest, honestly, it could dump and it could happen today, but we'll just have to watch that and see how that takes place. But we also have to keep the broader market in mind as well. So something else that could impact it, and I'll zoom in on this one, is our top two by market cap. So Bitcoin and Ethereum. If they put in new highs, I think that Cardano will continue its run. If they fail to put in new highs, then I think that's going to be a mitigating factor for the breakout for Cardano. So Cardano, I think it is going to make that march to $3. I don't think it's going to be a straight march. It's not going to be a linear path that we see, but it's one that I think that as it plays out through the rest of 2021, that it's highly possible. Assuming Bitcoin and Ethereum continue their march as well, they will help drag Cardano right along with it. It can ride their coattails right on through. And as we see the smart contracts play out and their performance, I think that that's also going to be confidence boosters. And also it broadens the use cases that we have for Cardano. So just pretty exciting day in general. Let me take a look at the time real quick. All right, it's 9:26. I do want to come back to crypto, but I do want to stop by market open because that happens at 9:30. And we should probably mention Solana because that's been making its run, and it's also been mentioned as the Ethereum killer. Look at that. Up about 3% for the day, up 63% over the last 7 days. Really putting in good numbers for performance. I think that this is one that we're going to see climb the market cap ladder sooner than later. I don't know that it would very soon reach up to what we have for the top three, but I think that we're certainly going to move up from the 10 spot easily within the next few months for Solana. All right, so let's see what we got in the pre-market here. All right, so understandably, we got Riot Blockchain, Marathon Digital up, Arcimoto back up to about 10.50, Senseonics still rocking above $3. Lordstown is under 5. Wow, they just keep dropping. Digital Turbine. So they closed yesterday under $48 per share. They actually bottomed out at 47.57, and I think they're going to turn it around. I think that we're really getting into oversold territory. So if I put up the RSI on the indicators that we have here, you can even see by momentum that we have that there's just been a ton of selling pressure. And right now the volume spike is up a little bit, so maybe it could push down a little bit more. But if it does, I think that's just going to emphasize the bounce that we're going to get from Digital Turbine. All right, let me catch up with some of the comments. Faiz, I hope you're well. Hope you're well too, Faiz. Thank you very much. When do you think crypto cycle finishes? When you buy some profit taking before this? And thank you very much for your compliments. I appreciate it. And you're from the UK. Perfect. So about the crypto cycle, I think that we're easily on a road to new highs. And I think that is going to take us into late 2021. The second half should be very good. And I think that we'll start seeing the peaks of that coming through either the beginning of 2022 or even by the end of, by the end of Q2 of 2022. Now, mind you, anything can happen between now and then. And it's hard to make that sort of call with something that's as quickly moving as the crypto space is. But I think that people are waking up to the realizations and the potentials of it. And I think that Ethereum's excitement is something that's bringing a lot of attention to it. And I mean, I shouldn't discount things like Cardano or Polkadot by any means, because those are awesome. Chainlink, also very awesome. So the institutional interest that we have in crypto is becoming very well known and very widespread. And watching how that adoption plays out in the ETFs coming out, those are just going to be huge drivers for us. So I think that, we might see a peak around, I'd say early to mid 2022, assuming that we get those things coming out for us. And the market is open, by the way. It is 9:30. So good luck, everyone. But yeah, so depending on when we get the news for those ETFs, how soon they hit for us, that's going to be a huge bump and a huge rally, in my opinion, a huge catalyst for bullish momentum. And from there, I think that we might go to the overbought territory, and we're going to have to let things rest and settle for a little while people take their profits and really turn things around. So I think that over time we'll put in even higher highs, but I think that we're going to have a sell-off that follows that euphoria before things sort of correct and then overcorrect, and then before we start the next cycle. All right, so let me move off pre-market and go over here to see where our movers are. Cardano, of course, leading the list. Polkadot up 12%. Polygon up another 12%. They're actually up. Let's see where they're at right now. So they're currently trading at $1.50 per Matic token that we have for Polygon. And they could be moving along with some of the altcoins that we see. We could be in the midst of a little bit more of an altcoin rally. And this is a sidechain layer 2 scaling solution that we have for Ethereum. And they just had that merger with, or they just agreed to a merger with Hermes Network. And so bringing the two of them together is going to be really cool for it. So let me see. About $1.50 is where we're finding resistance for the Matic token. So breaking up above that gives us room to ride up to about $1.70 per token. So we have over a 10% upside should we be able to break resistance. I think this is going to hang back, though, until we see what Ethereum does. And I think that Ethereum is also still heavily influenced, like most cryptocurrencies that we have out there. I think, Bitcoin still being the ocean, and all the other coins sort of being the ships in some sort of way. Not that they don't have an interplay between them, but it's just something that I think is going to help influence it. So if we get a drop for the big two, Bitcoin and Ethereum, then that's going to make it very difficult for something like Polygon in order to overcome the resistance that it has around the $1.50 level. All right, what else we got? So we got Justin. Thank you, Justin. Brooke, good morning. If you have time, can you check, can you look at Jazz, please? Absolutely, Brooke, and good morning to you. All right, so I want to thank you guys for being at my live streams. And this is probably my second to last live stream, at least for the consecutive ones. I am going back to work on Tuesday of next week. So I have one more live stream yet on Monday, 9:15, as usual. I'm still going to be active on YouTube and in my Patreon and in my Discord. It just won't be the live streams anymore. I'll go back to the recorded videos. And if I do live stream, it would be more on occasion than it would be on regularity. So I just wanted to toss that out there for you. And should I get to the point that I can switch over to doing this full time, I would absolutely incredibly do this full time. There are a number of ways to show your support. So free ways that cost you nothing. One would be just to hit the like button if you like the videos. The referral links for Webull and Moomoo, especially with the Hang Seng, I'll talk about that soon. Those are down there. You get free stocks. I get free stocks for the referral, so everybody wins. And then the other way, which is a purely giving way, would be that if you joined my Patreon, that link is also down there. That's enough of the self-plugs. Let's move on. So Jazz, 11 biotechs are popular on Reddit. So that's 23 hours ago. Delta, okay, got it. Analyst estimates. So Brooke, for Jazz, like we have here, I see that we're currently rocking below the average analyst estimate. And if this is in the biopharma space, so healthcare pharmaceuticals, developing, commercializing products that address unmet medical needs, companies' diverse portfolio and products, okay, sleep and hematology and oncology, okay, treatment, okay, cataplexy. Excessive daytime sleepiness in patients with narcolepsy. I don't know if it's my age. I'm 38 years old, but I'm to the point, and I'm not saying I'm old by any means. I'm just older than I was. I guess everybody can say that. But I can sleep anywhere. Like I've fallen asleep just being parked in a parking lot. Just took a nap, and I think I was out for about 45 minutes. I fell asleep in the CVS drive-through already. Maybe it is a problem. We'll have to see. Company commercializes in pre-alt. Okay. Administered infusion, FDA management. Okay, so they definitely don't sound new by any means. Listing date was on the 2012, January 18th. That's my brother's birthday. Not 2012. He's older than me by 4 years. However, happy birthday to him, and public listing date for for Jazz Pharmaceuticals. Okay, enough of that. So we have 17 analysts covering it. So always a good sign to have a lot of analyst coverage. So it is a bigger company. It's been around for a long time. They do have a line of products. All those things are good. When we look at biopharma and we look at the analyst estimates that we have, these are usually based on whatever sort of drug or treatment that it is, whatever niche they're serving in the healthcare and pharmaceuticals area. They're usually based on success, successful outcomes, FDA approvals, treatments, furthering the diagnoses, use cases, adoption. So these prices that we see, this does look relatively cheap. So what we have a $40 upside. So what would that be then? Like a 30% upside to the low analyst estimate, which we have the majority. So what does that come out to be? Almost everybody, except for maybe it looks like maybe one says to hold it and the rest say to buy it, or that's a strong buy. And at these prices, there could be a deal. What I would look for is back on August the 4th, what caused that big drop? Because we were actually doing sort of okay. A little bit of a concerning sign when we see it drop below the 50, because it was sort of acting as support and dancing around the moving average, and then it strongly broke through it. So the 50 period, let me turn off the EMA. The 50 period that we had now becomes resistance, and then we also broke strongly below the 200, and now we've bottomed out. But if you look at our RSI, it does put us well into the oversold territory. So August the 4th. Okay, earnings beat, reaffirms fiscal year forecast. Tops Q2 earnings and revenue estimates. Earnings beat, sales ride on GW buyout. Okay, innovators in pharma sector see potential, promise improving, providing improved treatments. I'm just checking some of the other things that we have. So this is the one talking about a buyout. Yeah, what is this? This is on Zacks. We should be able to see this article. And also, while we're waiting for that, I want to go to tip ranks here and see what the analyst estimates timelines are like. See when they put out. And I just it just jumped on me. 1 second. All right, this is the wrong company. I know that. I just as soon as I went to click, something loaded on the page and it jumped out of the way. All right, we'll go back over to Zach's will hit up tip ranks again. So earnings beat, sales right on GW buyout. So delivered adjusted earnings 390 per share, beat 355. Company reported earnings. Okay. Total revenue reported. That's not bad for year over year with 33.7% increase in driving sales due to drugs. Okay. And added after recently completed acquisition with GW Pharmaceuticals, the growth was partially offset by decline in sales of its key drug Xyrem. Okay. So, Brooke, this is what I would say is to check out what we have here for Xyrem and see what's going on there. Was it something that was pandemic related? Something that that mitigated it? What did it? I think that was one that was mentioned in the company profile. Let me see. Okay, so here's the thing about treatments and something that could affect sales. So during the pandemic, it was either tough to get into the hospital because there was so much taken up, so much priority given to COVID-19 patients that other patients who had non-emergent medical issues were just not going to the hospital. So it could be something where you would have maybe a diagnosis fall off. It could be something where people were not doing the treatment. And I'm trying to see where Xyrem is on here because, oh, there it is. Company's lead marketed products is Xyrem. So that's their lead, or one of their leads for treatment of both cataplexy and excessive day. Okay, so that's the one I was reading about. So if this was something seen as non-essential, either by the patients or by the hospitals throughout the pandemic, maybe this was a mitigating factor. And they might actually say in their conference call that would address some of those issues or some of those headwinds that they see. You could also look at the company, the risk factors that they list with their SEC filings. It would tell you more about those risk factors, and you can look at their presentation and see how they decide if they're going to rotate out of where they were at with this slump in sales. So, was it competition driven? Is it something that some other treatment came out that's superior? Like I said, was it pandemic related issues that caused this the most recent slump that we saw? I don't know. Those are my thoughts that I have about that. There could be, when you see a drop like this, oftentimes it can be oversold. And it could just be a lot of FUD around the company. It could be something that would recover well. That's definitely worth looking into, though. So let's check out tip ranks now that we've gotten through that. And somehow I put it in its own window. All right. Here we go. This is the right company for us. So average analyst estimate on this one. So 11 ratings being reported, 12 ratings being reported, 11 buys, 1 hold, $214, 63% upside from where it currently resides. Okay. So 5 days ago, HC Wainwright, 3-star analyst, and then a buy from a 2-star analyst, but no price given. Bank of America, 224, RBC Capital, 216. So we have a lot of upside reported. Finding out why or the direction that they think the company is going to take that would merit these sort of upsides. And then 2 and 3 months ago, 234, 250. Okay, so since earnings, then we've had a lot of similar repeats, maybe just a little bit lower than what we had from UBS and Barclays. So yeah, even from the low analyst estimate right now of 176, there's still a significant upside from where it's at. Like I said, about 30% to that low analyst estimate, and yeah, it could be a decent opportunity in the market, especially with the sell-off that we had. And like I said, a lot of times we have an overreaction, especially after we have such a strong drop like this, a big red candle that takes us down below the 200-day. We do want to pay attention to that slight negative slope that we have forming up. It's sort of flat, sort of negative. And from here, if the volume starts to fall off and we start to get weak, why can't I think of a weak commitment to the prices that they're at right now, we could start seeing things turn around for a reversal for us. And these narrow ranges that we have versus these broad ranges, there's a battle being fought between the bulls and the bears right now. between yesterday and today. So we could be finding bottom finally for where that price drop is happening, and there could be a significant climb depending on whatever it is that's causing this sort of sell-off that we see. All right, so that's what we have there. What else do we have? Neo and Xpeng are up 3% apiece. So let's see where Tesla is at after their AI day. There we go. And I have some other drawings that have been on here. And the neat thing about this is that we have this bullish wedge formation following, and it worked. We had the breakout, and then I had this bullish pennant, tiny one forming up here, and it kind of worked a little bit. It started breaking out, and then we peaked, and then the next day, I think that's the day that we found out that there was that they were being investigated for their safety of their autonomous driving, of their self-driving vehicles, and finding out what's going on there. So that's something that really caused a drop in their stock price. And just notice how well the 200-day moving average that we have has acted as support for them, which right now is riding at about 670. It's just under that. So we could have found bottom, and it's nice to see that support is still working for us as it was working all the way throughout. Let me see. There we go. There's our bottom at 546, sort of dancing around that 200-day, but narrowing, and then finally we break out, and then we start to see good support coming out of it. And now it's turning out to be pretty great support. I think that as long as we don't get more FUD coming out of it, as long as we don't get a big market turnaround that causes this to really strongly tank. We didn't have a great few days in the market. We're still holding that support so far, so that's nice to see that sort of strength come out of it. So AI day, I said yesterday, I didn't think it was going to be a huge catalyst for price action. I saw something about an AI robot. I didn't get to that part of the presentation when I was watching it. And it makes me wonder if, was I seeing it for real, that they were talking about the human side of robotics? So don't spoil it for me. I want to go back and I want to watch that. Something I did get to, though, I was watching some of the chip design that they were doing for building their own the presentation on Dojo itself, their supercomputer that is for machine learning and all the AI drivers that they have. And the fact, I think, is either 5 or 9 petaflops. So that's is it flow operations per second. In any case, it's something that if this were, it's revolutionary now, I think. But what they're doing is they're building machines, computers specific to their needs. And that's just absolutely awesome that they can design it to be as scalable and as efficient as possible. And they're doing really, really cool things for that to build the big mesh that they need for the neural networks. And I think it's just incredible to watch the amount of innovation that comes out. And I don't know who in the AI space on the programming end wouldn't be intrigued at least a little bit by what was there. And I think that we're going to see good things for recruitment coming out of Tesla. And the thing is that they keep attracting world-class talent to their company, as long with the vision that they have and the drive that they have. And the thing is that you have to keep thinking big like they are. So even if Elon Musk may have said at one point in time that we'd have fully autonomous driving by 2020, if you don't set ambitious goals, then you get people that just kind of flounder. So I hope that he keeps on setting ambitious goals for his company. I hope that they keep on pushing forward to drive that ambition and that innovation and keep some pressure on in order to stay on top of things. And I think that they're going to do that. And that's why even at the astronomical valuations that Tesla comes in at, that they're going to continue to just grow into just a monster of a company, even more so than they are right now. All right. So Ethereum Grayscale Trust, following the price of Ether, we had a nice little jump back up. And so that's what we're seeing right now, that jump. We haven't broken over resistance. Let's go back to CoinMarketCap to make sure I'm talking about the right thing, meaning that since I last looked a few minutes ago, we weren't back up over 3,300. As a matter of fact, 3,300, $3,300 is about where we're still seeing resistance anyway. I wouldn't say that we actually strongly broke over that price action wise. Actually, I'll do it here just because we get a little bit more color and it'll load a little bit faster for us using the client versus going online to do it. So there you go. And this is the daily chart for Ethereum. And you can see the lines I have drawn on here for support and resistance. We had a nice cross between the 50-day moving average and the 200-day, and we're trading above both of those. So very bullish action taking place here. And we are getting relatively strong support just under 3,000. As of no surprise if you've been watching the price action. And like I said, we haven't, let me see. This day, where was our close? Our close was at 32.97. And if we go here, our close on this candle was at 32.49. And then we closed 32, closing at 31, closing at 30.50. Closing at 29.67. So we didn't strongly break 3,000, but we also didn't strongly break 3,300. We peaked at $3,339.55 according to what's here. We need a day that we have the majority body of the candle, or at least a closing price well above $3,300 to consider it strongly broken. On the RSI, we do have an RSI above 50. So our momentum indicator is still saying that we are in bullish territory, but we're no longer in the overbought territory like we were before. So things are cooling off, and that's healthy for those prices. So I said I wouldn't be surprised if we came back down and tagged the 2,800 line. We haven't. We stayed right around that 3,000 mark. And I think that it is possible that we still do that. However, the more we push up against resistance, the more it becomes a matter of time until resistance breaks, especially if the bulls keep that price right up near it, that we don't get a large amount of retracement coming back down away from resistance and giving time for the bears to redouble their efforts and keeping that price down below the 3,300 mark. So that's Ethereum. Let's stop by Bitcoin because we haven't gone there yet. And there we go. My goodness. There's Bitcoin. I was like 50 cents. That doesn't make any sense. All right. Similar chart to what we saw for Ethereum. Not rocking as high above the 200-day or the 50-day, but we are that positive slope that we have, that turnaround that we have for the 50-day. And you can see the pennant that we drew, and that we actually fell through the bottom of it at first before it turned back around and broke out. So I don't know. I wouldn't call that as correct or well functioning as some of the pennants that we see. So it's not quite textbook, but it did end up working overall, and it was strongly skewed to the top side. So that's an indicator that it would break out to the top side. We actually barely peaked up above 70 on the RSI for this one. Still in bullish territory. As a matter of fact, we haven't even hit this low here, almost on the momentum indicator. We've almost hit the same low, but it is possible because we have a higher low that we do get a little bit more momentum and strength. And for Bitcoin, I wouldn't say that we strongly broke above 48,000. If we're going to break that 48, then we got to keep on smashing against that ceiling that we have of resistance in order to move on to about that $50,000 mark. And I think that the next few weeks are going to be very good for us. And you know, anything can happen news-wise, and so I can't anticipate all of those, but I can say that ETFs, there's only so much that the SEC can do against the demand, and only so many ways that they can say no, or we'll think about it. We'll think about it. You know, what about this? What about that? And I get that there's a lot of questions to answer, and I get that they're trying to keep in some sort of integrity in the marketplace, but it's something that, you know, I think that we should keep on watching, and I think we're going to get a lot more positive price action coming out of Ethereum as we move forward. Just a quick stop back at Digital Turbine. So we're actually still pushing on that $49 mark, and we are in the oversold territory. I think that we're going to start that climb back upwards, that will break back through 50 in the very near future on that one. And I have increased my position since watching this happen. I was dollar cost averaging all the way through this drop that we have. And if I saw it, I didn't see it when it went under $48 per share, but it's one that, you know, if I did, I would have put in just another position. So for this one, I think that we're going to get a significant recovery. I think that we'll get a turnaround story that's like, oh, AAB didn't break Digital Turbine, you know, because that I think is what kicked it off when Google said, hey, if you're going to upload anything else developer-wise to the Google Play Store, it's got to be AAB and not APK. And the APK is old and less efficient, and AAB is new and much more efficient, and it's better for developers, and it's better for the users, and it's better for Google in general. So it's on all around win, and it's something that apps knew about and that they adjusted for years ago. And so they already said, they came out and made the public statement saying that it's not anything that will affect their business in any way. So that's what you have for Digital Turbine. Let's see where some of the other ones are. SoFi bumping up against resistance under $14. So that round number resist we have a 14. We are narrowing, but in which direction we're narrowing? Because for this one, from the recent price action that we see, it actually looks like it could break to the downside. So let's zoom out more. We actually had a low point on here at 13.14. That's that candle all the way back to what we had here. Probably, I think it was the IPOE, I think was the company first. So we have $14. If we can break, we're actually at 14.07 right now. Okay, so we're back above 14. If we can hold 14, and I think that we will hold 14 as long as the market cooperates with us. And I'm talking about the broad market, that if there's a big sell-off with the major indices, that would put downward pressure on this. And also where we're looking at for like the Russell 2000, the Russell 3000, if they sell off, then when we have tech and high growth sell off, SoFi is going to be directly impacted by that. But specific to SoFi, I think they're going to hold the 14, and that gives us room up to almost 14.75 before we hit resistance again. So instead of just talking about it, I'll put up the drawings on this. So by the way, for those of you watching, if you want me to talk about any specific stocks or cryptos, just go ahead and pop it in the comments. If you haven't stopped in to say hello, go ahead and say hello. Just a quick reminder that you do. Is this going to let me draw it on there? It looks like we may have gotten close to that $14 mark. All right. So a funny thing about using the drawing tools and stuff and my cursor on Webull, when my system resources are being taken up, there, that line's about 14.91, so just under 15. When my system resources are being taken up, it's hard to get Webull to act correctly when I'm live streaming. Once I'm done live streaming, it works perfectly. So there's a clog up with the amount of RAM that I have. And I got this computer back in 2017, and I figured that, you know, it was most definitely enough RAM to carry me through, because I mostly do office work. I didn't anticipate in 2017 that I'd be live streaming in 2021. So it's a little bit light on RAM and graphics processing, and so a lot goes on to the CPU, and it is memory intensive. And so when I do other things that start to detract from that, then I get performance issues. In any case, here's what we're looking at for SoFi. So right now, in here would be like an area of right now sort of resistance. But if we break through here, we have this nice little range in between like $15 per share up to about $16.75-ish per share, where we can see that sort of traded for a while. And I think up here are more stronger resisted areas where we're going to tend to struggle to break over those, into those, or over those. So I think that 14-ish is going to hold. And I think breaking through 15 is going to be a little bit difficult, but not nearly as difficult as the other prices that we see up here. We are in bearish territory, and we are also getting just a little bit of a we have this drop off, so the sell off and the little gap down that we have from there, and then also this little sort of pennant coming off of here. So this could be a bearish pennant signaling that maybe 14 won't hold. So we'll have to see. If it does hold, I think we're in really good shape. If it doesn't hold, then we're confirming what's here. The volume has tapered off from what we see here. So the next spike we see could be with some conviction compared to what we have currently. All right, let's see what else we got. Charge point. Wow, their low price is under 21. So they're actually at 21.22 right now. And we could be setting up a double bottom support. 20, I think, is going to be really strongly held by a charge point. Seeing it drop below the 20s, we'd have to look back here to max selling pressure back in May, when we had that low point around 19. So if we break 20, I'm going to be super surprised. We had enough of a sell-off here. I think from here we start to get recovery. And if we get an engulfing candle here compared to what's there, if that takes us over that bottom, then we start to see a really nice double bottom support where this thing could turn around and start marching back upward to about, and again, I'm having trouble with my cursors. I'll do it a different way. So the low point here is 22.54, so like 22.50 for charge point to turn things back around from where they currently are. Pyro, good morning, Doc. I got here late. Did I miss anything? Cardano's doing great. It's third by market cap, Pyro. And I think if it's going to continue its run, it's going to be dependent on what Ethereum and Bitcoin do. If they push on to break resistance above 48,000 for Bitcoin, above 3,300 for Ethereum, that Cardano can continue its run at getting us closer to that $3 mark that we're looking for. So that's in the near term. In the longer term, I think Cardano is absolutely going to hit $3, assuming that Ethereum, that I'm right about that, that's going to retake its high and even possibly break its high, and Bitcoin also retaking and breaking its highs by the end of 2021 or within early 2022, at least in the first half of 2022. So that's a catch up on what we have there. Apps, I'm still bullish on apps. Polygon is doing pretty awesome right now, up 15% for the day. Actually, let's see where Cardano's at. All right, so they put a new high even since we talked about it. So we're looking at the daily chart here. I think it was 254 that we had on Webull when we were looking at Cardano, and now we went up to 258.5. Let's look at CoinMarketCap and see what they have. Well, this is Ethereum right here. Let me see. Go back out to the coins by market cap. So Cardano, it even says 257 here. Ethereum still 32.57, and Bitcoin. Oh man, everything's so close. Cardano has broken resistance, and we need a good strong day to turn that resistance into support. So we'll see if we just happen to peak today and fall off, or if we push on, and it's going to be heavily influenced by these two. Strongly over 3,300 and strongly over 48,000. We're going to see Cardano push on probably into the 270 range with the current momentum that it has before it starts to flag a little bit and needs to rest for a little while. So keeping our eyes on the crypto space, I think this is where a lot of the excitement comes in. So Pyro, other than that, I just talked about a lot of the stocks that were here and some of their performance. Xpeng is pushing on to 5%. All right. So they actually have a nice little taper going on here between the lows and the highs that they're starting to squeeze on each other as well. 50-day flattened out on us, 200-day still positive. So we'll see if we bump up against resistance. That $40 mark right now, not only is it a round number resist, which can be a pretty strong psychological resistance, but it also happens to be right about where the 200-day is at. So that could be a decent amount of resistance for us. With some of the volume off, there's not as much conviction in the current price action that we have as some of these other days. Should we break above resistance, I think we're going to have a lot heavier buying for it. So Lee is about in the same boat. Well, Lee's pushing on to 6% up. It actually broke up above the 200-day. So 30 being that next mark that we have for round number resist. And there's not, we had round number support over here. So this low point right here was 28.67. The close was 30.54. So a little bit above that. So right across the top of that candle. All right. So if we break above 30, we have room to almost 31 for Lee. So that makes me wonder. Let's go over here. There we go. Here's the Hang Seng in its performance over the past 6 months. So I don't know if you're a Stockmo fan like I am. I think that he does incredible with fundamentals. I saw him plug in Mumu, and I was like, you know what? If he's checking it out, I think it's also worth checking out. So I knew that the Hang Seng was having a rough time. I didn't really know how much until I took a look at it. And so when you see my referral link down in the description of this video and my other videos for Mumu, it's because it does allow me to trade on the Hang Seng exchange. And so we get access to those Chinese companies that we wouldn't normally have access to. And look at that performance over the last 6 months, down 18%. And so what Stockman was saying, and I fully agree with him on this one, he's like, the United States markets are up, Chinese markets are down. He goes, I would rather invest when something's down versus when it's way up. And I think that that's something that we can all connect with on that really fundamental basic level of trading. And so looking here, now I'm starting to wonder as I look at this, especially look where we are right now on August the 20th, and look where we were on July 27th. Like that was a big dip on July 27th. And even if you look at the Chinese stocks on the United States exchanges, when we go back to the 27th, that was a pretty peak fear kind of day. And now we're about in that same place again. from where we were at before. Not as much of a sell-off from the most recent local high that I had on August the 11th, but we find ourselves back in the same situation. It's highly likely that we get a bounce from here, depending on what it is that's causing the most recent sell-off. I'm not as in tune with what's happening in China. I know that the Delta variant is something that's really wreaking havoc, and I know about the regulatory issues that are also going on, and really, I don't think it's long before we start to inflect off this point that we have here. Let's go to the 1 year and see where it puts us. So we're back here. If we go across from that, where do we put us about even? All right, so right there, and this is back. It looks like it's in like October to November of 2020. Puts us to just about even where we were at before. So we're actually sitting on this area right here. And the thing is, when you're above resistance like this, then it can become support. So not only do we have a support area here by this low, but that we also have over here sort of confirming just a little bit of that as well. So it could be very possible that right here for the Hang Seng, that we start to inflect back upwards and we start to recover some of this area of resistance that we have up here. So percent gain wise, I actually have to go the other way. It should be about 13%. There we go. So like 13 to 15% up from where it currently sits, back up to where we were at back in June. And if we retake that previous high, there's that 18% drop that we were talking about. So over the course of the entire year, there we go. We're down about 1% from where we started year to date. And if we look at the 5-year, even the 5-year paints an actually okay picture from where we're positioned. The other lows that we had were most definitely through the pandemic, which were up from where we're at 2017 levels. So I think that at the lowest, let me see. So we could do maybe another 8% drop according to the 5-year chart that we have here from the peak fear pandemic levels that we have. So maybe like we'll call it 8 to 10% down from where it's at now before it gets to the worst that it has been in recent history. So I definitely think that I don't know if you guys are into foreign stocks, the Chinese stocks. I know that he said his videos, if you watch his videos, he said they weren't doing so well when he made a video on it. Everybody was like, but I mean, why not check it out? And I mean, the more I look at this, the more I'm convinced that it actually deserves a lot more of my attention that I've been putting towards it, especially with the toppy markets that we've been having. So the Hang Seng, check it out. Moo, the referral link, check it out. That's down in the description. You get free stocks for signing up, free stocks for depositing. And because they are newer, like they're just handing things out, trying to build their user base. And the handouts are usually pretty good at the inception of such things. They tend to taper off over time. So I would get in sooner than later, whether you use my referral link or you don't. Why not take the free cash? So let's move on from there. So Lee, incredible day. What else we got? Just reading down through. We'll stop by Arcimoto just for a moment here. Let's see where they're sitting. So they're sitting at 1048, 1050. And I think that we're finally finding that bottom for this one. Let me see, where's the open today? The open today was at $10.21, and that about matches what we saw for the low and the close of the previous day. So this, I think that Arcimoto, nope, let me hit the auto button so we get better scaling here. Yeah, they were down as low as 732, and I know that right now as they continue to grow, I know that sales were not the greatest for them, that they instead of increasing their outlook, that they actually decreased their outlook for the rest of 2021. And some people might consider that, waiting on the money, or they consider it dead money. Either way, I honestly, waiting I can see, but dead money I don't see for Arcimoto. I think that this is one that's going to be very slow ramp up at first as far as customer adoption, because there's a lot of people who haven't experienced the fun utility vehicles that Arcimoto makes, and there just hasn't been a lot produced so far. But I think as that production goes up and it makes it out to more areas, that it's going to be big in the area of high efficiency and rental and recreation. So I think that this is at least keeping an eyeball on. Now, mind you, nothing that I say is financial advice. These are my personal reflections and opinions, and I hope that you're at least entertained by some of the things I say and do. Like the one day, a fly, I'm not that I did this, but I got a fly go directly up my nose, and I've shown that video clip to many a person, and they very much I'd have to look at the date for it now. But my family gets a kick out of it, and they don't let me live it down. In any case, that's my take on Arcimoto that I have here. I think that they're going to do very well, and the fact that they're starting to find support down here at around 10.20-ish, and that we're below $11, I think that we're going to come back up, and we're going to fill that gap over time. And I think that we're going to see some of the strength come back in their prices. It might take a quarter, it might take the rest of 2021, but I do think that over time we're going to start seeing that positive price action come out, and Arcimoto is anything but dead in the water. Let me see. Who else we got here? Thank you, Brooke. I'll miss interacting with you guys on the market. I'll still be doing the YouTube videos. You can still hit me up in the comments. So far, YouTube hasn't flagged me as a spammer, and it's weird that YouTubers I saw same time Stockmo put his out, Uncle Larry put his out. There are a few others that also had videos out about how they were handling comments because they said that their channel was going to get canceled. And we've seen BitBoy had his channel deleted and then reinstated. And then was it Matt Kors, I think, who does a lot of AMC coverage? His channel got deleted and then restored. It's a scary thing, you know, because I really enjoy this. And I did a lot of hard work, and those guys did a lot more hard work than me. So to watch that just go up in smoke is a terrible thing. But you know, I hope to make it back to the live streams, and through enough support from you guys, it's something that's absolutely possible. Just in the meantime, I will have to return back to my regular job, but still all the while watching the stock markets and offering whatever helpful advice I can. The link for the Patreon is down there. You can join my Discord that's over there. I think my lowest price is $5. It'd be a way to show your support. And the way that I picture the Patreon, at least for that monthly charge. First of all, it's a support thing if you like what I'm doing. Actually, when Stockmo put out his Patreon initially, because of his fundamental views and the long view that he has for his stocks, like DraftKings was one that I was like, this is way overpriced, I'm never touching it. But based on the way he talked about it and the way he saw the online gambling, online sports betting going, you know, it started to kind of changed my perspective a little bit on the industry and on DraftKings themselves. And I made a ton of money. And DraftKings is just one example of one of those ways where he led people onto those things. And so because I made much more money off of his point of view, and even things that I actually did realize my gains on it, I figured, you know what, why not toss him the support? So I did. I became a supporter of his Patreon. And, you know, he's a really cool guy. So that's the way that I view the Patreon in general. And I think that that's very much in the spirit of Patreon. So if you guys don't want to join it, you don't want to pay for those things, it's absolutely understandable and fine, because I don't pay for most of the services that I use as well. Anything free, I try to soak it up. But if you are interested at all, that link is there anytime that you want. BNGO, let's see where we're at. So $5. The peak sell-off, they hit 430. They actually broke down below the 200-day. BNGO is another one of those high-risk plays that you have that does a lot for innovation, does a lot for adoption, and should they push into diagnosis and treatment side, and which I believe involves FDA approval, I think that that's going to be a huge catalyst for them. And the more yellow papers that they can put out, the more actual research papers on the clinical side of things that are showing more about those structural variants that we have for those long strand variations, structural variations, I believe is what they call them, LSVs. Those are things that I think are going to continue to drive it over time. Being high risk like it is, we haven't seen the same sell-off that we saw back by the time we hit May. But we are starting to level off. So that's a good thing. It's just a matter if the rest of tech and high growth starts to trail off. This one will as well. And I just don't see that same fear happening this time, because we didn't have that same peakiness that we had back in January and February earlier this year. We didn't make that same run up. And so I think now we're starting to get back into those cheaper valuations for companies. But also we don't have that same scared feeling, I guess would be the word to say it, where we're getting such a drastic sell-off from what we saw before, that we reached the point where there was so much that became good deals and oversold. that we ran up and we started to lose some of the deals again. And so then we settled a little bit, and now I think we might correct back up, and like from what we have here, going up $1 from where we're at here would be perfectly understandable, putting us right around that $6 mark. So let me see what else we got. Joel says, good morning, good content, Doc. Thank you very much, Joel. I really appreciate it. First time viewer. What's my background? So what's my background is an important question. So I am a math teacher. And so when it comes to the stock market, it's something that I was actually a late bloomer for. And and I'm nerdy. So, and I think a lot about perspective and how humans play into what drives our motivation and everything. And my research is actually in self-regulation, which motivation is a huge part of that as well. So my doctorate I should have by next spring. So spring of 2022, which is, I'm going to be a busy guy between the things that I do for YouTube, the things that I do for work, and also the things that I do for my doctorate program. So I am in my dissertation phase. I am writing my research proposal. Pending that approval, then I move on to the actual research phase, followed by the actual finishing of the last 2 chapters of my dissertation. And like I said, spring 2022 is that anticipated date. Moving on from that. So being a math teacher like I am, and being a late bloomer to the market, so when I grew up in a reasonably poor family, typically just above welfare level. There was a lot of moving around, finding for my father to find work and for my mother to find work, and there was a lot of perceptions of money that were placed on me and what it took in order to make that money. And I'll talk about it in reference to either lottery or penny stock sort of plays where, you had to hope, you had to wish, and you had to take big risks and big chances. And while there is some truth to that you do have to sometimes take big risks in order to get those big rewards, to make them possible, finance and investment were not any part of my upbringing. And so even though I was skilled in mathematics, still am skilled in mathematics, it's something that I didn't really draw my attention to until much later. I started thinking about where I was at, because when it happened was I actually started my career in teaching, and I was thinking about all this money that I was going to make that I didn't make before. And for me, tens of thousands of dollars. So my first job, my first actual job in teaching was $40,000 a year. And I was like, 40,000 a year, that's awesome. I'm going to have such a good life. And then I quickly realized, and this was 2008 was when I started. And so saying that now, knowing what I know now and having the experience that I do now, I can't believe I ever thought that way. And I guess that's the nature of education, is that when you build new perspectives, it can make the old ones seem off or to seem silly. So I started, as I realized how little 40,000 was, and that was before taxes. So then after taxes, it dropped me down to like 25 to 28,000 net income per year, just off of my salary alone. I started realizing just how far that didn't go, how very little it got me. It got me paycheck to paycheck. It got me scraping by and having to make decisions over where to float that next little bit of money. Do I pay this or do I pay that? How can I push that down the line? And that was very pressuresome for me and very unsettling. So I went back and I got my master's degree. So figuring that degree work would allow me to progress from there. And it did a little bit. It got me a little bit more money, but it was still a little bit of keeping up with the Joneses, and it was still part of the rat race. And eventually I went back and I got started working on my doctorate, figuring that if I got a job at the university level, that my daughters would be able to go to college for free, which would be a huge expense that would not have to be paid. So that was the initial motivation for the doctorate. And then I quickly learned more about being a doctoral student and what it meant to earn your doctorate. And while that's still a possibility for my daughters to go to college for free, it's something that it's not the point anymore. More the growth that I get out of it by knowing more about the way that people act and operate is more of where that's at. In the meantime, when I realized how little that money went, I started thinking about other ways to get it. And one was continuing education. And I saw time and time again that no matter how much I continued my education, that it was going to be a very slow climb in a way that I would never get out of debt. And that's when I started reading more about finance and investing and building that up over time. And I remember I started with penny stocks, which is funny because, I tell people don't start with penny stocks. And anybody who's been in this says don't start with penny stocks. And I blew up not one, but two accounts very early on because I was just investing all my money that I had, which is very low. I think my first one was like $1,000 account. And I put it all on a single stock, and it blew up. And I was like, yes, I doubled my money. And it took a week. And then by the next week after that, I was down to like half my money. Not half from that doubling, but half from the initial deposit. So from 1,000 to 2,000 down to 500. And I just kept holding on, waiting for it to come back again. And then it never did. And soon that money was pretty much gone. So that's the background. And so I just kept on learning and working on it. And I did leave the market after I blew up my account. I came back to it, figuring that I knew more now and that I was ready. I blew up that account, again, trading in very risky ways. And then I decided to do it the right way finally and get diversified, put my money into the bigger companies that are out there. I still am in some of the growth companies, and I brushed up more on technical analysis, and fundamental analysis is still something that I continue to really, really work on. And, I know that I mentioned stock online. I promise last time I'll mention this time. Listening to the way that he talks about fundamental views for a company was even more eye-opening for me compared to anything that I read or anybody else that I listened to. Just the way that it's kept simple. It started really, really making sense. So when I come here and talk to you guys and I talk about the risks and stuff like that, I can't invest anymore in ways that cause me to feel sick. And I can't invest anymore in ways that cause me to lose sleep at night. I just won't do it. I will take risks on companies, but like BNGO, for example, when I put my money down on them initially thinking that they were going to move, it wasn't a lot of money. Relatively speaking, is about 1% of my total portfolio. And if it was gone, I missed it, and I hate to lose money, but my family's lifestyle doesn't change. My lifestyle doesn't change. I'm still sleeping well at night. So I just don't like to do that. So spreading my money out across ETFs that track the indices. Vanguard's awesome, by the way. And then also moving from there into some of the bigger companies that don't have a lot of volatility in their stocks. My dividend portfolio that I put together on February the 1st for my Patreon is available on my Patreon. So you can check that out. And then I also have my high growth portfolio, which is smaller yet, where there's a lot of risk that's there. And some of that, even though you don't see all the profit taking, what you do see is that I was in at some of these higher prices in those final positions. And so now it's, waiting for that time horizon, 3 to 5 years to play out to see the payoff take place over that longer time horizon for those companies. All right. So I'm sorry if that was long-winded, Joel, but I hope that it was everything that you needed to hear. We'll say it that way. Pyro says nerdy is cool. I'm a professional pyrotechnician. So Pyro, your name totally makes sense now. But that's awesome. And, I appreciate the work that you do. I mean, I don't know anybody who's like, I just don't like fireworks. I mean, outside of maybe people's dogs and cats and stuff like that. I know that people feel strongly about that. Pyrotechnology is something that has always interested me. Not enough to take part in it, but I've watched documentaries on the evolution of fireworks and everything. It's really cool stuff. Yeah, no problem, Joel. I really appreciate it. Honestly, it doesn't matter where you start. It matters what you do along the way. And, I really appreciate your kind words. There you go. And Pyro, I'm glad that you're here as well. So it's 10:21. I'm going to push on until 10:30, and then I'll call it. Like I said, I always aim to end at 10 a.m. So anything beyond that's bonus. But I do want to check in with just a few other things. As a matter of fact, I haven't looked at the losers today. So let's see what's dropping for us. AMC, we actually have, at least on this list, and this is not an exhaustive list of the stocks. These are different ones that people have asked me to talk about or that I have looked at while live streaming. So ABML, for example, popping up here, they are going to move on momentum. So seeing it down into the $1.40 range, $1.40 should be something that holds support-wise, as long as there's no big negative news that happens. If we just maintain status quo on ABML, $1.40 is about where we find that sort of status quo. And remember what I said before about the overselling that we had by the time we got into May, that we had a decent amount of overselling. So when this dropped down below $1, to see the strong rally come out of it is not all that surprising. And we had some decent volume support go along with it. And since then, we sort of we've sold off from those highs, and now we sort of corrected about where they should be, I guess. Still super high risk. They still need to build their facility in Friendly, Nevada. They got permits for it. They're moving forward with it. I think they started clearing the ground for it. But like, we want to see the buildings go up. We want their investor relations page to show us more about the structure that's being built. And furthermore from that, we need to see the results of their lithium battery recycling, and we need to know more about its potential for scalability to actually make it to the point where it's going to be a profitable company. Because right now, that timeline for profitability is set so far in the future that we can't really rely on it. All right, so ALPP, they had a decent day. I thought it was yesterday. It was yesterday. Maybe it was the day before. All right, they got a $2.2 million contract in Africa that served as a small catalyst for their price. Investors in this one are waiting on the NASDAQ uplist, which has been delayed. I think maybe back in May was when we were supposed to see the results of that uplisting. I think they filed in February. I'd have to go back and check the dates on those. So I don't promise the dates, but they are waiting on the NASDAQ uplisting. And I think NASDAQ's been inundated by different stocks trying to uplist from the OTC markets. But when we do get it, we should get some heavy buying. We should see some of these volume spikes that we saw previously start to return. So again, another high risk play, but it is a company that I think has been showing significant growth and doing a lot with their acquisitions. And I think that we should see the fruits of those acquisitions coming out as time plays out. 250, by the way, being about the line of support that we see for ALPP. All right, what else we got here? Micron, Shopify. There you go. Let's stop by NNDM for a moment. Where are they sitting at? All right, 547. I don't see them. This is another one where you see a drop off followed by the struggle between the bears and the bulls, and we have a decent amount of symmetry right here with those tops and with those bottoms. So it's a matter of which way will it break. Will it break to the downside or will it break to the upside? And as I've said before, given their $1.4 billion cash position as of June 30th, 2021, that alone accounts for their market cap that sits right around that $1.4 billion mark. So you can check out Yahoo Finance on that and see where they're riding for that market capitalization, or you can find the number of outstanding shares and then multiply by their share price that you get to see that market cap. I think we're actually going to hold support right around these mid fives. And I think that we'll see that return back to 6 as long as the market allows for it. All right, let me see what else we have. See how our friend Fisker's doing. I see GNOG's rocking just below $19 per share, so that means DraftKings probably around like $51 or $52, given the acquisition that's supposed to take place in Q1 of 2022. All right, so Fisker's actually finding support right about where it's at, or in the low 13s. I have that trail off that we have, and we're still sort of following this line that I have right here. So slanted down, and they're going to struggle for a little bit. So we'll find out where that bottom is, because right now we don't have total signs that this thing's going to reverse. So it could continue its downtrend. We do get support right around 1226. So we also have that round number resist right at 13 itself. So I'm sorry, round number support at $13 itself. So it's something we could watch play over time. They, again, might be one that if you do invest in it, that you're waiting at least until maybe mid-year, like end of Q2 2022. Certainly by the end of year 2022, as we hit production for the Fisker Ocean, we should start to see those catalysts pop up that start turning around the price action. It's just a matter of when that turnaround happens with their price action, because right now they are trailing off quite a bit. And we were down at $9 and we peaked up at, where's the high price? There it is, $20. So we'll just call it $10 because it's 961, so we'll round up. So 15 would be about midway for that retracement. So we'll call it right between the $14.50 and the $15 be 50% retracement level. We've actually broken through that. So that can be something, especially being below the moving averages, the 50 period coming down across the 200, which is imminent, I would say. We could see further selling pressure out of Fisker before it finally decides to turn around from where it's at. All right. So nice. ASTR 27th of August projected launch for Space Force. Yeah, let's check that out. And then Pyro, you said, can you check support before you go? What support are you referring to? What ticker? All right, so today is August the 20th. So we're a week out from the Space Force launch, which I'm not too familiar with, Joel, but I will take a look at this for you. So being about a week out, if we're going to see price action on rumors before we get that whole sell the news thing, which could happen on, let me see, Thursday would be the 26th, so Friday would be the 27th. So if people are going to buy the rumor, being a week out, like a lot of times you can look when the rumor starts getting talked about, it can be within that week beforehand. And so we could see some of that return to the price action to the upside if people really are hyped. SPRT. Okay, thank you, Pyro. So we can start to see that sort of push to the upside for the stock, whichever one it happens to be. And we are running around the support level. Looks like $9, maybe just below $9. And we're not too far above that from where we currently are. So not too bad, about 9% up, which I think is a pretty good day. Today, we're up almost 4% from where we closed yesterday. So if this does push up on rumor for that launch for Space Force, we have room up to almost $11 per share. So depending on how big that goes, we actually had, after a pretty remarkable sell-off, we had good volume. And then we also had a decent pennant or flag, depending on how you want to view this formation, come up. And it looks like, it should have panned out. It should have broken resistance to the upside, and then it didn't. We didn't really get any volume coming out of it. We just broke down to the upside. We broke to the downside, but it's also not a volume support to break downward. So what was this day? This was August, maybe 17th. I lost my cursor again. Okay. Well, we can count this back. So that's 2019, 18. Yeah, August 17th is where we had that drop, where we were trading before near in between those moving averages. And that could be one of the reasons why we had the fail to break resistance at the 1143-ish that we have here for the 200-day, is that 200-day served as strong enough resistance that it caused the formation that we had happening to fail. But August the 27th is where we have that huge drop. So let's see. I'm sorry, August 17th is where we had that huge drop. So today is the 20th. 2 days ago. Satellite company Spire begins trading New York Stock Exchange. Space. Yeah, so I'm not seeing the specific news tied to this. But yeah, finding out why that drop happened. But it does look like we're getting decent support coming in. And we could move pretty well to the upside. So if we break that, where are we at here? This low candle over here is at 1045. Okay. Sorry, I'm just assembling pieces in my head here. So like 1050-ish could be one of those areas where we start at 1040, 1050, where we start to hit resistance, and then room up to 1082 is where that's at. So like getting to the high 10s, maybe even $11 per share for peaking out if we get that positive price action leading up to that launch of Space Force that we get. So you could look at the Google search volumes for that space launch and see if that's something that's spiking and that there's growing increase in interest. You can also watch the actual traded volumes for the company. You can check out Twitter to see what sort of mentions it's getting there. You can check out the Reddit forums as well to see if it's also getting attention there. This is one that's likely going to move significantly on momentum. As a matter of fact, it's up to 5%. So maybe with with my huge YouTube influence that I moved it up another percent from where it was at before I started talking about it. I'm guessing not. In any case, that's what I have there. Pyro, I'll help you out here. Joel, I hope I gave you some useful information. So SPRT, there you go. Okay, so you actually meant it's support.com. Gotcha. So we are right now sitting. Yeah, we're up above this previous candle that we have here, but it still isn't necessarily resistance broken. So trading above it is good. The volume on it is okay. It's not great. I would like to see some of these other peaks that we have here in volume. So I don't know that this is going to push on to overtake that high. If I had to guess, I would say that we're probably going to close today. Let me see. That says 897. No, I'm sorry. The high point that we want here, 932. And where we're at right now, 949, and we opened at 930. I wouldn't be surprised if we closed near that level for the day for support.com. So let me see. I just wanted to see what, make sure with your comments what you said about it. And the nice thing that we have going for it is that our lows are moving higher. Our RSI is actually getting, we have a steady march upward for momentum as well. We haven't even hit that that overbought territory like we had before I made that tumble. So even though today might not be that day, 960, by the way, it just disappeared off my screen. We're getting a lot of selling pressure in the 960s that we start to get a lot of sell orders coming in to keep that pressure downward on that price action. And that could be related to this previous high that we saw. With the strength building, we could be in good shape for a move to the upside. And we are trading above the moving averages. So that's awesome. I would find out what happened on this day, what excitement we got that took us up almost to $11 before closing. Where did we close on that day? We closed at $8.10. Wow, that's a big change. Decent recovery there, though. What analysts do we have? None. News. Q2 revenue fell 23% to 8.5 million. So that was 6 days ago. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there you go. Earnings was the reason. So maybe a lot of anticipation. Let's go to the hourly chart. See if we can find it on there. There we go. So it is possible that we had in this hour leading up to earnings, especially if it was a before market open thing. We see a run up to earnings. We see high anticipation from earnings, and then market opens and we get profit taking and like people digesting that sort of information. Not a lot of volume support coming out of that 1.4 million. I guess relatively speaking, there's a decent amount of volume there compared to the 3 million. 1.4. Zoom in a little bit. There we go. That's what I was catching on. Okay, 55 million shares traded at open. So this is relatively high for after hours. That one had even higher volume where it kind of there, and then it failed as soon as the market opened. So we could be seeing some people actually digesting some of what support had to say and leading on to that next run that we see. On the hourly chart, we are hitting a little bit of that oversold territory. So institutional investment, 8% increase, 11 new positions, 11 sold, 11 decreased, and 6 sold out. 21% institutional ownership, so it is going to be a little bit more susceptible to volatility. Not that that's incredibly low institutional ownership, but it is sort of low for institutional ownership, and it seems like it might be a smaller company. Company's home sourcing model enables outsourced work to be delivered by people working from home, has been specifically designed for remote work. So, all right, so I looked at the technicals, but just reading a little bit about the company profile that we have and speaking fundamentally, I'll talk about JP Morgan. So my brother-in-law, and I realize I'm way over time, so thank you guys for sticking around. My brother-in-law worked for JP Morgan in the office with JP Morgan Supply Computers for 8 to 15 years. I'm sorry that I know that's a wide range. I just don't remember when he got hired. And then he got his position got downsized a few years back, so he no longer worked for JP Morgan. Well, bring on the pandemic and bring along a lot of the work from home that we had, and he's actually come full circle that he got hired back by JP Morgan for a different position. However, now that he's come back, there are absolutely no computers sourced by JP Morgan in the JP Morgan office building. 100% of the computers are purchased by the employees. And for my brother-in-law, he was given a $1,100 stipend to buy whatever machine he needed in order to perform his job duties. And he could work completely from home or anywhere that he wants to. And so I don't think that that's specific to JP Morgan. I think that that's a bigger trend where we gain that sort of flexibility. You know, it's yet to see the performance of that coming out. But I think that if support.com is in that space where it's enabling people to and companies to do more of that work from home or work from anywhere type model, this could be one that over time, and we actually have a decent, rather large cup and handle taking place right now, similar to what we had with Cardano. So we had that high, dropped way down, scooped way back up to an almost even high, so fairly symmetrical, and then trailed off again before ripping sharply back upward again. And a cup and handle is actually a very bullish sign, and we typically get a volume tapering throughout that drop off with the handle, and that goes right along with what we see with this this right hand side of the cup. We see the volume handle, the volume decrease in between. We have a big day with earnings jumping in the middle of the formation that we have here, and now we're starting to peak up above. So and the volume today, actually, relative to the previous days that we have, the volume is actually up above these already that we see. So Pyro, on a final note on support.com that we have here, honestly, I think that they're in the right space for growth. And it's a matter of capitalizing on that growth. I'm not sure how they're positioned according to their peers, but that would be definitely something to check out. Sticking with the leaders and the innovators and the disruptors in those spaces, those are things that we can look for that would really help us out. If we can close higher than what we had over here as a high point of 932, closing price of 897, so around the $9 mark. If we can close strongly above that or get a full body of a candle above that, then we can press on to that other peaky high that we got near that $11 mark. All right, guys. My voice is about had it. I had another sip of coffee here before I sign off. Perfect. So the links, the referral links, yeah, first of all, hit the like for support. The referral links, if you want to, they're down there. I'm not going to push it on you or anything like that. Thank you for stopping by. Can't wait to see you guys on Monday. I'll miss you in the live streams, but I'll be here for the recordings. And I'll see you in the comments for those. And if you join the Patreon, I'll see you over in the Discord. Have a great day and enjoy your weekend.